Ooh, touch the camera. There it goes, all over the place. All right, man. I'm here. It is 1:57 in the a.m. Got everyone to bed, and I've got you were third on my list, and I moved you up to second to get everything done, so I can get this to you tonight. I was going to type out a bunch of stuff, and then I'm looking at all of everything that I have on my computer with my notes, and I just wanted to I wanted to talk with you a little bit more than I wanted to just type, because I think that is a more effective way to go right now. You're doing a lot more right than you're doing wrong. I can tell you are highly influenced with probably the vertical diet a bit, but that's kind of become more of a strongman. I mean, a strongman diet, the combination of high protein, pretty high good carbs, and eating some food with vitamins in it. Something semi-healthy. So I think you're hitting the big things. I mean, I went through. I did go through what you sent me. You feel like you're getting 350 to 400 grams of protein every day, and that kind of raises a flag because I do that often, and I know how much meat that is. So I know that you have to be getting your protein in from protein powders and things like that as well. 500 grams of carbs a day. It's not a big deal. That's fairly solid and easy to do. Trying to gain weight, we could double that. It's during competition prep, it's solid for me to get somewhere around 400 to 500 grams, maybe 600 grams of carbs a day from food sources, and then I'll make up the rest of it to put me between 800 and 1,000 grams a day in powdered carbs. I've got shakers. I've got like 4 shakers on the kitchen counter right there. See the torn bicep. But what I will do is I nonstop mix the shakers with 3 scoops of carb powder. I'm almost out. Dextrose and maltodextrose. I always get those wrong. It's a blend that I get from the cheap stuff. It's a blend that I get from the store here. It's really cheap. I get a discount and it doesn't bother my stomach. I really like there's a one that Gaspari makes with electrolytes in it, but I don't think they make it in the States anymore. And the only reason they bring it here is we have a lot of cyclists here. I live on a warm island with a ton of mountains, so a lot of cyclists come and live here, and it's a carbohydrate. I think it's one of the highly branched chained cyclic dextrins. Carbolin is a great one. We don't have it in Cyprus, so every time that I go to the States, I get a couple of tubs and go through that. So it doesn't bother my stomach that much. But I use a ton of carb powders, and almost every I'm sure our shakers are about the same size. Just Warrior Lab, that's a local company here, a Greek company actually. So I mean it's 600, 700 mLs. I don't know how many ounces that is. 24 ounces. I'll mix 3 scoops of carb powder, which will it's 90 grams of carb powder, and then I go half and half, or sometimes thirds. Coconut water, cranberry juice, and then regular water. I don't really like coconut water. I don't really like cranberry juice. When you mix them half and half, it kind of balances everything out. So I think that's a good thing for me, and I've got supplements up there. I always mix an electrolyte powder with it as well. I mean, it's really, really hot here, so it's nonstop sweating. I've got the AC on 25, which is like 83, and I think it's really nice in here. It's not that bad. I'm gonna freeze when I'm in the States this time next week. But so I mean that's a great way, especially on training days if you need to add the carbs. Carbs aren't going to make you more awesome. They're not going to build more muscle, but they are going to keep catabolism away. So it's while you're training or stress or anything like that happens, it's going to help keep the cortisol and everything else from eating your muscle. Might gain some fat. have that problem. I rejoice every time I gain a little bit of fat. And then Pepto Pro is a big one for me. I'm trying to think what they call it in the States, but you can look up Pepto Pro. It's hydrolyzed casein something. Don't get fooled by the fact that it's only like 9 grams of protein per scoop. Scoops are small, and I want to say something like 9 or whatever, 10 grams of that Pepto Pro is equal to, like 20 or 30 grams of regular protein as far as how your body digests it, because it doesn't need to be digested. It's the only protein powder that I've used since getting sick in 2006, that doesn't bother my stomach. And I've got tubs of protein powders around the house, and I end up giving them away. I even bought the stuff that's like $80 and $90 a tub. It tastes amazing as soon as it goes down. I'm ready to vomit because it upsets my body. I'm allergic to almost everything. But Pepto Pro is solid. I'm glad to see that you're getting in the essential amino acids. I don't see many other people with the same taste. I've got essential amino acids up there I drink while I'm training as well. I'll come back to that in a second. Roughly 150 to 180 grams of fats. I think you're probably getting most of that from the meats that you're getting in the eggs, which is, I think that's solid. You can add olive oil. We've got our own olive tree farm, like ours. So we process our very own olives. So you pick the olives, and then we take them to the processing plant, and they put everything in jugs. A lot of times they put them in whiskey bottles for us, or giant, 20-gallon barrels, and then we divide them out, family, friends, that sort of thing. But I will go, when I get to the States, I'll go buy some olive oil from Walmart or Kroger, and then I'll go to the little travel section and get the little 100 ml, I don't know how many ounces, the travel size bottles of shampoo. No, they're empty. And then I will fill those with olive oil, and whenever I go somewhere to eat, my dog's messing with my cat. Whenever I go somewhere to eat, I can use that extra olive oil to pour it over whatever I'm eating. If it doesn't have enough calories, it doesn't have enough fat, and I think the olive oil fats help me to digest even fast food. Just some thoughts there that may pay off. Let me go through. I've got your diet, the 5-day food log. I was going through here counting your protein, and I didn't come up with 350, but I'm still coming up with, let's say like 270 to 330, close enough. And that depends on the fat content of everything. 4 eggs, orange juice, dash of cranberry juice, spinach, berries, scoop of whey. Blend it all together and drink it. Are your eggs cooked, prepared? I don't know. That really intrigues me. Berries here are extremely expensive, but I live on an island, so if it isn't natural to where we live, it's going to be very expensive. Scoop of whey, if you're getting 25 grams of protein, you could add more, but every couple of hours you're getting in quality protein anyway. Meals 2, 3, and 4, 6-ish ounces. You've got the 8812 ground beef. We only have one kind of ground beef here. So that's not the 80-20, and it's not the 70-something, 20-something as well. And it's not the 90-10 or the 93-7 or whatever it is. So you're getting a pretty good amount of protein. Although I think 16 ounces is a pound, and I think a pound of ground beef, even if we're looking at somewhere around sirloin level, a pound of ground beef is still less than 100 grams of protein. A cup and a half of jasmine rice. I think you're the man with the jasmine rice. I thought I was the only person that only eats jasmine rice. And a 4th of bell pepper. The only thing else I can suggest to add to most of those meals, I think in the mornings or even the night before, even if they're frozen, get some frozen mini carrots and just cook them in a pan, and then with some water, and we cook everything with salt and olive oil. We're Greek. Everything has olive oil on it, salt and lemon. But put them in the refrigerator, whatever. I have 3 or 4 little mini baby carrots with a lot of those meals. I think they help me with digestion, and if they help me with digestion, they can help anybody with digestion. The fourth of the bell pepper, that's solid. I think that stuff right there, it does help with dehydration, helps to prevent dehydration, even in small amounts. And I think it does help with digestion a little bit. And then if you're eating things like jasmine rice and ground beef, they're really soft on the palate, and you can almost just swallow them without having, you can swallow them without having to chew. And I think that adding any kind of bell pepper in there, even if they're just little pieces, adds a better texture, and I think that slows down the digestion process to make it a little bit more digestible, just based on texture. But that's just my theory. Pre-workout, big bowl of oatmeal and whey with dark chocolate chips. Man, I'd love to see this. Are you mixing the whey with the oatmeal, drinking it separate? I've got to have a full meal before I go to the gym. I don't know. It's just me. And I've always been that way. Anything I have to have a full meal, and then of course I drive to the gym and I park. I have to unlock and open the doors, feed my cats, turn all the lights on, clean up. If anybody else has been in the gym, guarantee you it's a mess. And then I'm kind of old and beat up, and it's the first time in my whole day where I've had a chance to just exhale. So I need a big meal before I leave the house. And then I can have a protein shake and carb powder. I haven't had oatmeal in a while. Might start. Sometimes the fiber kills me. But if you're going to try anything different, try having the big meal or a small meal, a piece of meat. I think you're looking at like an hour and a half out from training. A small piece of any kind of meat. So it's probably going to have some kind of fat in it. Or a couple of eggs, so it's got some fat in it. I think flavor is important, the couple of, the meal before training. So salt and pepper. Any kind of carbs that you like. Don't be afraid to have, this is the time where I usually have my one soda per day. And I love a can of Coke. I really do. And I usually have my can of Coke with that meal that's a couple hours or hour and a half before I do my first set. It's my pre-workout meal. And when you're looking at being at the gym, look at getting to the gym and having the Pepto Pro with some kind of 30, 60, even 90 grams of a cheap carbohydrate powder. Throw in some kind of electrolyte, and we can also even add, let's say, a teaspoon of that pink Himalayan salt, which is hard to find here, but I got some, and it does make a difference. Just something to think about. During your workout, the gallon of water with carb powder, salt, and EAAs. I do pretty much the same thing. Getting a gallon of water down during training is not an issue. Do you have ice with your water? Of course, it's really hot here. I don't enjoy being hot. We don't have ice machines here either. I'm the only person that I know that has, let me turn this over here, a refrigerator and a freezer. Everyone else just has a refrigerator with a freezer section on it. I'm also the only person that I've ever met in Cyprus that has a clothes dryer. No joke. Culture shock for me. But I haven't used mine. I still dry my clothes. But that's a different story. Anyway, try the Pepto Pro. Get the carb powder in. As long as you're not having any stomach issues during training, continue with that. The salt and the essential amino acids. I would be interested to see what adding any kind of electrolyte powder. I'm not for sure what kind of options you guys have there. I've got a bunch of stuff that I get because we have so many cyclists here. Let me grab this real quick. So I'm really not making this stuff up. Essential amino acids. I really do drink this stuff. EFS, yeah, I'm sure you guys have a comparable brand, but it's loaded with extra um, minerals, electrolytes, probably to the point where if you take too much of it, it's probably going to upset your stomach. But it's much more than the Gatorade. There's a Gatorade one there that I get every time I go to the States. It's like a Gatorade Plus or something like that. It's the one that sponsors the New York Marathon. I can look for it. I need to get some more on Amazon. It's got extra electrolytes and less carbs, which I don't like the carbs that are with Gatorade, so I just add my own carbs to it. Just thoughts, that's all. Meal 6, so it's your post-workout meal. 8 to 10 ounces of pork tenderloin. I'm going to stop there because I want you to send me photos of your pork tenderloin. Pork here is really, really cheap. Beef here is really expensive. And beef tenderloin is just my absolute favorite food here. Because I can, it's extremely expensive. Somewhere in the nature of like $30 a pound. But I can go and get them to cut me little slices. And then as I'm cooking before going to the gym, I mean, I cook for everyone in the house. As I'm cooking before I go to the gym, I'll take the hot plate where I'm cooking usually the meat, and I can do 60 to 90 seconds per side, take it off, put it on a plate, and then just stick it in the oven or the microwave or anywhere so that nobody touches it at all. And then when it starts to cool, I'll throw it in a Ziploc bag and take it to the gym, and I can eat it out of the Ziploc bag because the beef tenderloin is so tender. And even with my tricky stomach, because it is so tender, yet still has texture, doesn't upset my stomach. And if I don't eat it during training, I can have it immediately when I'm done, and it doesn't bother me. So I want to see what your pork tenderloin looks like, because I'll be in the States next week, and I want to look at that pork tenderloin and then see if I can get pork tenderloin here, because pork is where that might be $30 a pound for the beef tenderloin. The pork tenderloin would be like 25% of that price. At most. No, that's like $4 or $5 a pound. $3 a pound, maybe. Tenth of the price. So if I could make that work, even if I had to marinate it, that would be awesome. So send me photos of your food. With 2 cups of rice or a big baked potato, all topped with cheese, that's very, very solid. Lots of calories, clean foods. You will eat this exact same thing every day, Monday through Friday, which is perfectly fine. The weekends will differ a little. You'll have 5 to 7 eggs and tortillas with a big glass of OJ before training on Saturday. I still, with that, I would throw in yogurt. You guys call it Greek yogurt. We call it yogurt. But I don't think your Greek yogurt tastes like our yogurt here. Your Greek yogurt tastes like our yogurt's gone bad. Our yogurt tastes, to me, like sour cream. So don't be afraid to add some calories in the form of a yogurt or a sour cream, especially if you're having some kind of tortillas, something like that. Big glass of OJ before training. Don't forget the carbs. Throw in the carb powder if you can. Big meal after training, beef, chicken with a lot of rice. That's fine. Another 3 meals. All will include meat and rice. All perfectly fine. I know it's with the vertical diet thing, adding the beef stock to everything. We don't have beef stock here. But every time I've gone to the States, I go straight to the store and I buy the beef broth. And then I order meal prepped meals and I pour it over everything. And it helps me get the food down, helps me keep the sodium in without bothering my stomach. Something to consider. It's an easier way to get the food down. You can also, and I've seen people talk about this, if you have your rice, you can put a little bit of dextrose powder on top of the rice and then add the beef stock on top of that, or even chicken stock, doesn't matter. And it makes the rice go down a little bit better, taste much better. I think it digests better as well. Sunday is 4 eggs in the morning, usually a steak for lunch, and a roast or some sort of beef for dinner with potatoes. Foods you eat consistently: ground beef, chicken, pork tenderloin, pork chop, steak, eggs. pot roast, butter, cheese, bell pepper, spinach, onions, berries, orange juice, cranberry juice, jasmine, basmati. Basmati, that's what I eat. Never mind, take back everything I said about jasmine. It's basmati. Russet potatoes, sweet potatoes, tortillas, energy drink before training, Propels, and G2. Man, you're hitting most all the marks on everything. There are little things you can do. Like I said, you can add in, adding in the carrots. I think it helps the digestion. You can add in a little bit of a dextrose and the beef or chicken stock broth, whatever they call it. The dextrose on top of the rice. You can add an electrolyte drink in with your training or non-stop throughout all of the fluids that you take in. You can add in the Pepto Pro, and then I'll add a scoop of Pepto Pro with almost everything that I drink the last several weeks before a contest. But remember, my body doesn't digest food well, anything that I eat or drink very well. You can add in the yogurt or sour cream, whichever doesn't bother you. Adding in butter is not a bad thing. The cheese is not a bad thing. I tend to cover everything with cheese if I can. There was something else I was thinking of. You've covered almost everything here. The cranberry juice, I really think cranberry juice works miracles. I think coconut water does miracles. I think the combination of the two works miracles. Don't be afraid to have a couple of liters. I don't know what a liter is anymore. Fourth of a gallon. Yeah. Fourth of a gallon is a liter. So a half a gallon. I wouldn't be afraid to have a half gallon of cranberry juice a day. Conversations with Eddie Hall. He came up with all kinds of scientific studies and things that he believes, antioxidants. I'm just saying I have better training sessions and all around. I tend to get sick less. I recover better when my cranberry juice is high, even the cheap cranberry juice. And he drinks diet cranberry juice. We had a big discussion face to face about this diet cranberry juice. Eddie Hall. Didn't make any sense. So he was in my hotel room, and I laid into him about that. Coconut water, I would try it if you can afford it. I hate suggesting all this. You can always increase your beef. Find a cut of beef, find a T-bone, like T-bone. T-bone is pretty solidly easy to cook. It takes longer than a ribeye on the hot pan in the oven, because you can just take a ribeye and get your pan warm with some butter. We're looking at 3 minutes on each side and it's ready to go. Where the T-bone, you're going to need something like 4.5 minutes each side, slightly cooler cooked, and then putting it in a pan and putting it in the oven for another 5 minutes or so to let it get down through that bone a little bit. But if you look at the T-bone is a sirloin and a fillet, or it's sirloin and a tenderloin, all in one with the bone. And it's usually a really, really good price. So if you can find a place that's got T-bones, I highly suggest the T-bones. And the T-bone in steak is going to be a better quality meat. Your body is going to digest it better than even the 8812 ground beef. But make sure that it fits for you, because the best diet is going to be the one that you can stick with long term. So anyway, man, it's 2:21 a.m. I'm going to put this into my computer, compress it a bit, put it up on YouTube, and get this to you as quickly as possible. And I hope this helps. Ask more questions, and I will find more answers for you. And it won't take as long this time, I swear. Catch you later, man.